They say that time is capable of healing everything. But what if time never existed? What if the very thing you have been waiting for so long, healing, transformation, your new life, is not hidden in a misty, distant future, but is already happening now, simply on a parallel frequency that you have not yet tuned into? Imagine a man in a hall of mirrors, each reflecting a different version of him. Some show him broken, captured by regret. Others present an awakened, powerful version who is already living the life he dreams of. He keeps walking, believing he is moving through time. However, every version of him already exists in these mirrors. The only thing that changes is which one he is looking at. This is not just philosophy, it is quantum mechanics. We have been indoctrinated to believe that time flows linearly, like a straight arrow from the past into the future, and now is just a fleeting dot in the middle. But what if this arrow is merely a convenient fiction? A simplified map, created by the limited perception of the human mind, which is tuned for survival, not truth. After all, the brain does not experience time as such. It only stores sequences of electrical impulses. Your past is nothing more than a record. Your future is an unplayed track in a cosmic playlist. The Newtonian model of time, fixed, measurable, unchanging, crumbles to dust as soon as you start to look closer. Einstein hinted at this more than 100 years ago when he showed that time is relative. It is not a constant force but a flexible variable that bends under the action of velocity, gravity, and observation. But here is what you were never told in educational institutions. The deeper you penetrate into the quantum field, the more time begins to completely disappear. In the quantum world, particles do not move in time. They exist in states of potentiality, dwelling in a timeless soup of probabilities. The moment we observe them, when we give them our attention, they collapse into one definite, fixed state. In other words, time does not flow. It collapses under the influence of your focus. What you call now is simply a point of consciousness that intersects with a specific frequency of potential. But even this is not the most striking thing. The real surprise is this: every version of you, the one who succeeded, the one who failed, the one who has already attained freedom, already exists. Not metaphorically, not as a fantasy, but as real, tangible timelines encoded in the quantum field. Your identity, your emotions, your beliefs. These are the tuning instruments that select which timeline you experience. You do not create reality inside time. You select reality through vibration, and yet the clocks tick. The calendar fills up. The body ages. So how can there be no time if we live in it? This is the puzzle that confounds most people. But here's the workaround. Time is real within a certain frequency, like a video game with multiple levels. Each timeline has its own physics, its own rules. But when you shift your consciousness from one timeline to another, when you make a vibrational jump, the rules change, time warps, memories blend, the past rewrites itself, and the future begins to leak into your present. If this seems impossible, it is only because you have been taught to think of yourself as a fixed object moving in a fixed world. You have forgotten that your mind, your energy, your awareness are non-local. They are not locked inside the body. They are quantum tools capable of collapsing an infinite multitude of realities into an experience. Your body is the avatar. Your consciousness is the player. And time is the illusion that allows the game to seem real. Let us analyze this in more detail. Whenever you remember, you are not just viewing a static file in your brain. You are recreating that memory, reactivating the neural network, re-experiencing the emotional charge. In doing so, you are energetically aligning with the version of yourself who lived that past. This is why your past keeps repeating, not because it is the hand of fate, but because your focus is collapsing the same timeline again and again. The key is this: your perception of time is a reflection of your emotional state. When you are stuck in guilt or regret, time slows down. The future seems distant, unattainable. But when you dwell in coherence, when your heart, mind, and body are aligned in a state of presence, time dissolves. Hours seem like moments. You gain access to flow. And from this flow, you can effortlessly jump into other timelines. Here is a paradox that is rarely discussed. To change your future, you must first change your past. Not by changing the facts of history, but by shifting your vibrational relationship with it. Because as long as your identity is entangled with the old version of yourself, the one who was hurt, abandoned, rejected, you continue to tune into the same outcome. But the moment you step into a new emotional frequency, your observer effect collapses a new slice of reality, and in that moment the past itself changes. Not in your memory, but in your field. Now you might think, but I remember what happened. It is the truth. Absolutely, but what if that memory feels so dense only because you have constantly fed it with attention? What if your proof is merely your neurological reenactment, creating a loop so convincing that you have forgotten it is not mandatory? What if healing is not about fixing the past, but about choosing a new one? This is not wishful thinking. It is quantum coherence. This is how light behaves both as a particle and as a wave until you observe it. This is how entangled particles influence each other across time and space. This is how your consciousness, elevated above linear perception, becomes the architect of time itself. The real question is not, can I escape time? But, which version of time am I collapsing right now? Because time is not outside of you. It is not a river you are floating down. It is a field you are projecting. You are the projector, the film, and the screen. And every thought, every emotion, every belief chooses which movie of reality to play. And here is what you have yet to understand, but we will explore it further. The quantum field does not see time the way you do. In fact, from its perspective, time is already complete, and everything you have ever desired is already encoded in a frame that is waiting for your frequency. But more on that in a moment. Close your eyes for 1 second and imagine. You are suspended in space, far beyond Earth, outside the gravitational influence of any planet, any star. There are no clocks, no sunsets, no ticking of your time-measuring device. There is no yesterday or tomorrow. There is only peace, only now. But not the now you are used to. This is a vast, multidimensional present, alive with infinite potential, where all possible outcomes already exist. This is not science fiction. It is the quantum field. In our daily lives, we perceive time linearly because we live inside a brain that processes sequences. The sun rises. We eat. We sleep. The past seems like history etched in stone. The future, a distant hope. But this perception is not a universal law. It is merely the way the human nervous system organizes information for survival. In the quantum field, time is not a line. It is a landscape. Everything is happening at once. Every potential outcome, every version of you, every twist in your story already exists simultaneously in a superposition of possibilities. Let us delve deeper. The quantum field, as understood by scientists, is not just a sea of particles. It is a unified field of intelligent potential, a domain beyond space and time where the past and future are not fixed points but accessible frequency coordinates. In this field, nothing is solid until it is observed. The act of observation, or more accurately, conscious awareness, is what collapses this infinite soup of potential into tangible reality. This means the future is not coming, it is waiting. And the past is not gone. It is still vibrating in the field, right next to you. Einstein called this the illusion of time. He said the distinction between past, present, and future is merely a stubbornly persistent illusion. He meant that from the universe's perspective, time does not move. Everything simply is. Only when you step into a body, a brain, an identity, does time begin to manifest. Think of it this way. Your consciousness is like a flashlight, and time is the beam. Wherever you direct your focus, a slice of reality is illuminated. But that does not mean the other slices disappeared. They are just not illuminated at the moment. The double-slit experiment proved something stunningly powerful. A particle behaves like a wave, a field of pure probability, until it is measured. The moment you observe it, it chooses a location, a moment, a state. But here is what most people do not realize. The act of observation does not only affect the present, it penetrates the past. Retrocausality, a phenomenon proven in delayed choice quantum experiments, shows that a decision made in the present can influence how a particle behaved in the past. Let that thought sink in. Your current state of consciousness can rearrange what has already happened, not just how you remember it, but what it was. So what does this mean for you? It means you are not moving through time. You are selecting frames from a quantum archive, like a film reel on which every possible version of your life is already imprinted. Love, heartbreak, abundance, failure, awakening, stagnation. You are the projector choosing which frame to illuminate with your awareness. And here is the punchline. You do not need to wait for time to bring you what you desire. You need to match the frequency of the version of you who already has it. This is where science meets soul, because matching the frequency is not a mind game. It is a vibrational shift. Your thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and energetic coherence are your tuning dial. When your heart and brain are in synchronization, a state neuroscientists call coherence, you become a clean signal in the field. And the field responds by reflecting the timeline that matches that frequency. This timeless truth was spoken of when people were urged, embody the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Because in the quantum field, you do not attract what you want, you attract what you are, not in personality, but in frequency. If you feel lack, you align with timelines of more lack. If you feel peace, you resonate with realities where peace already reigns in your life. This is not a miracle, it is mechanics. Let us talk about your brain. The neocortex, which processes logic and language, is limited by time. But the limbic brain, the emotional center, knows no difference between past, present, or future. When you feel gratitude now for a future that has not yet happened, your brain does not wait for confirmation. It collapses the experience into your nervous system, changing your biology, your chemistry, your electromagnetic field. This is why gratitude is so powerful in manifestation. It tricks your system into believing the future is now, and the field responds accordingly. You might ask, if all timelines already exist, why am I stuck in this one? The answer is simple, but it requires courage. You have been unconsciously choosing it with your attention, your beliefs, your unresolved emotions. You have been collapsing the same version of reality over and over, believing it was fate. But now you know the truth. You can step back, broaden your focus, and begin to collapse a different outcome. This is not about escaping your current life. It is about stepping into the larger reality that already surrounds you. The quantum field is not somewhere far away. It is here, now, pulsing beneath your skin, reacting to your every thought. Time in this field is not a conveyor belt. It is a vibrational access point, and you hold the key. But before you can access new futures, you must unhook from the emotional anchors of your past. You must interrupt the patterns that keep your attention tethered to the familiar. You must become aware of what you are observing and why. Because every observation is a choice. Every thought is a key, and every emotion is a signal to the field. You are now beginning to see. The future is not something you wait for. It is something you tune into. And the timeline where everything you desire is already real is not far away. It is simply vibrating at a frequency you have not fully remembered yet. But that memory is starting to return. And next we will show you how to collapse the version of your past that is holding you in limitation, and how to tune your being to the version of reality that already knows your power. There is a version of you that is already healed. A version that is already living in flow, abundance, and deep peace. They are not in your distant future. They are not just a dream. They are real right now, vibrating in a parallel timeline. And the only thing separating you from them is the signal you are sending to the field. This is not about fantasizing. It is about physics. A quantum jump or timeline shift is not some mystical trick. It is the direct result of understanding how your consciousness interacts with the field of infinite potential. Your identity, beliefs, emotions, and thoughts. These are not merely internal furnishings. They are the levers. And the field does not respond to what you want. It responds to what you transmit. Let us dispel a common misconception. Most people believe they need to change the world outside to live a better life. They try to fix, pursue, or rearrange external circumstances, the job, the relationship, the money, hoping that something out there will unlock a new path. But this is flawed, because in the quantum sense, the outer world is not the cause, it is the effect. Your reality does not happen to you, it collapses from you. Think of your current life as a frequency pattern, a playlist of experiences you are constantly tuning into. If you keep broadcasting the same emotional signature, resentment, fear, doubt, you keep collapsing the same stations. Even if you visualize something better, if your core frequency is rooted in the past, the field will merely reflect that back to you. This is why change is hard. This is why life feels stuck. But here is the breakthrough. You do not need to wait for change. You do not need to force it. You can jump right now into the timeline where the version of you who already embodies your desire exists. And to do that, you must collapse the vibrational past that has been holding your identity captive. Let us get practical. The brain does not store time. It stores patterns, neurological circuits linked to emotions. Every time you recall a painful memory, you are not rewatching a neutral file. You are re-experiencing the frequency of that version of yourself. You are emotionally entangled with a timeline. This means the past you keep playing is not just haunting you. It is anchoring your current vibration. So, how do you collapse it? 1. You stop feeding it. Awareness is the key. When you become the observer of your emotional triggers, instead of the reactor, you begin to disentangle from that version of yourself. Your nervous system, once addicted to the familiar chemistry of stress or guilt, starts to lose its hold. This is neuroplasticity. This is quantum liberation. Next, you embody the version of yourself who no longer carries that pain, not at the level of the mind, but energetically. You sit, feel your body. You breathe into your chest. You ask, how would I feel if that version of me no longer defined me? Then you practice that feeling. Not once, not for 1 minute, but consistently, consecutively, until your biology begins to match that frequency. The more time you spend in the state of your new self, the more the old timeline begins to collapse because you are no longer giving it life through your observation. This is why healing is never about fixing the past. It is about ceasing to be the version of yourself that was shaped by it. Because in the quantum field, what you stop observing ceases to exist, and what you begin to embody becomes your reality. And here is where the beauty begins. You can make micro jumps every day. Every time you choose peace over panic, clarity over confusion, presence over the old pattern, you collapse an old version of yourself and step into a new one. This is a jump. And over time, these jumps multiply. The frequency gap between where you were and where you are becomes so wide that it feels like a different life, because it is. They say to change is to think greater than your environment. But even deeper, to jump timelines, you must feel greater than your history. Because feeling is the language of the field. Thought is the map, but feeling is the engine. And when your emotional body aligns with the signal of your future self, the quantum navigator instantly recalibrates. This is called living in the end. It does not mean fantasizing about your dream life. It means embodying the emotional frequency of it as if it were already true, because in the field, it already is. The moment you act as if you are already that version, not through self-deception but through deep coherence, you collapse into that timeline. Reality does not wait. It reflects. But do not mistake action for tension. This is not about doing more. It is about being different. Your job is not to chase the new timeline. Your job is to match it. The timeline is magnetic. It draws to you what you are. And when you stop reenacting the past, you unlock access to realities your old identity could never perceive. Now here is the tricky trap. The old timeline will try to pull you back. Not because it is evil, but because it is familiar. Your nervous system may crave the old chaos. Your ego may fear losing its story. This is why timeline jumping requires awareness, not perfection. You will feel discomfort. That is a sign you are leaving a vibrational prison. Embrace it. Do not resist it. Breathe through it. Your new self is on the other side of that resistance. So ask yourself, who am I willing to stop being? What emotional habits, thought patterns, stories am I willing to release, not by force, but by choosing a higher signal? Because the field is listening. It has always been listening. It was just playing the song you were broadcasting, whether you knew it or not. And the song of your future self is already playing in the background, subtle, alluring, waiting for you to sing in unison. But to hear it fully, you need to become still enough to tune in. And next, you will learn how your attention, your most powerful, undervalued gift, is the remote control that determines which version of time you collapse into your now. There is a reason your life keeps looping, a reason why the same patterns, emotions, and outcomes seem to cycle back into your experience, no matter how hard you try to break free. It is not karma. It is not bad luck. It is the mechanics of observation, and it is more powerful than you ever realized. In quantum mechanics, there is a principle that overturns all our notions of reality: the observer effect. Particles exist in superposition, a state of infinite potential, until they are observed. In the moment of observation, the wave collapses into a specific outcome. No earlier, no later. The act of attention creates the event. Now imagine your thoughts, emotions, and expectations are acts of continuous observation. This means you are not just witnessing your reality, you are choosing it. Your attention is not passive. It is creative. It is the light that collapses timelines into form. And the field, that quantum sea of pure potential, is neutral. It does not judge. It does not correct. It simply reflects the quality of your focus. Therefore, if you focus on lack, you collapse lack. If you focus on being stuck, you collapse more stuckness. And if you dare to focus with emotional truth and coherence on the reality you desire, the field has no choice but to organize itself around that. Let us bring this into the human experience. Most people live in a trance of repetition, not because they lack power, but because their attention is captured. Past traumas, future projections, constant distraction, all fragment the power of the observer. Their energy is scattered, their presence weakened, and so, life becomes a mirror of confusion, chaos, or numbness. But the truth is, your attention is the remote control of time. Wherever you direct it, the timeline responds. This is not a metaphor. It is the dynamics of the field. Every thought, especially one charged with emotion, sends a measurable signal into the quantum field. The brain emits electrical patterns. The heart emits magnetic waves. Together, they form a broadcast, and that broadcast instructs the field on what to collapse into your experience. This is why being stuck in the past feels so heavy. It is not that the past is real. It is that you have been feeding it with constant observation. Every time you tell the same story, feel the same regret, or relive the same pain, you are not recalling. You are relaunching that timeline. And the field listens. It is always listening. But here is the quantum shift. The moment you redirect your attention with intention, the entire field rearranges itself, not gradually, but instantly. Not because you forced a change, but because you tuned your awareness to a different frame of possibility. Imagine your attention as a laser pointer. 1,000 doors stand before you. You have been unconsciously pointing at door number 4, the one marked lack, stagnation, or confusion. But now you stop. You become still. You feel your breath. You reconnect to the observer. Not the personality, but the witness behind the thoughts. And you direct the beam to door number 7, the timeline where you are already free, grounded, powerful, and as soon as your attention locks on, the door opens. But here is what most people miss. Focus without emotional energy is weak. You can mentally say, "I want to be free." But if your emotional body is still vibrating with fear, you are sending a mixed signal. The field responds to coherence, to the alignment of thought and feeling. This is why mindfulness alone is not enough. You must feel your focus. You must become the observer with a heart. Neurobiology confirms this. Heart-brain coherence research shows that when your emotional and mental systems synchronize, your body enters a state of biological alignment. In this state, you become a powerful transmitter. Intuition sharpens, stress dissolves. You become energetically magnetic, and the field, which is constantly scanning for signals, reflects the timeline that matches that elevated state. This is why ancient sages and modern scientists are finally speaking the same thing. Presence is power, not just spiritual presence, but intentional awareness. When you become conscious of where your attention is going, you reclaim the ability to shift timelines. You cease reacting and begin choosing. But here is the subtle truth. Reclaiming your attention is not just about focus. It is about sovereignty. Because when your attention is yours again, not captured by fear, distraction, or pain, you become inviolable. You stop collapsing timelines from a wounded autopilot and begin collapsing them from soul coherence. The question is not, are you creating your reality? You already are. The real question is, from what level of consciousness are you creating it? Because if you observe from fear, you collapse limitation. But if you observe from love, from clarity, from embodied worth, the field opens like a flower, blooming with timelines you never knew were possible. This is not a miracle. It is mechanics. So take a breath right now, slow down, feel the weight of your focus. Ask yourself, which timeline am I feeding with my attention today? Because that choice, that micro moment of awareness, is more powerful than months of struggle. If you are ready to collapse the version of time where you are stuck, repeating the same thing and waiting, write in the comments, "My attention controls the timeline." Let this be your first signal to the field, a declaration that you are no longer collapsing your reality on autopilot. You are here, awake, observing with intention. And next, we will go even deeper, because once you understand the mechanics of observation, all that remains is to fully embody the version of you who is already living in the desired timeline. And the moment you do that, your world will shift. There is a reason you can see your desired future so clearly. The life you aspire to, peace, abundance, freedom, is not a fantasy. It is a memory from the field, a vibrational echo from the version of you who already exists. Not someday, now. You are not imagining your highest self. You are recollecting it. But here is the paradox. This version of you is not what you become over time. It is what you embody now, or do not experience at all. Because in the quantum field, change is not brought about by time. It is brought about by frequency. And your frequency is not an abstract vibration floating in space. It is a state of being, the combination of your thoughts, emotions, beliefs, body chemistry, and energetic posture. Which means you are either broadcasting the signal of your future self or tuning into the loop of the past. There is no neutral position. Let us ground this in science. Every emotion you feel creates a chemical cascade in the body. Cortisol when you are stressed, oxytocin when you feel love, adrenaline when you feel threatened. These chemicals are not random. They are messengers. They carry signals that reinforce specific neural pathways. And over time, those pathways become personality traits, an identity, and ultimately, your reality. If every day you wake up and feel the same lack, fear, or anxiety, you are not just having a bad morning. You are unconsciously broadcasting the same identity, telling the quantum field, "This is who I am." And the field, always accurate, reflects the timeline that matches it. It is not punishment, it is precision. But when you decide to interrupt the chemical habit, when you wake up and breathe like a person who is already free, move like a person who trusts what is happening, think like a person who already has it, the signal changes. Your biology is reprogrammed. Your electromagnetic field shifts. You become a new vibrational node in the quantum matrix. You need to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, because the field does not respond to pleading, not to striving, but to embodied certainty. Not mental affirmation, but emotional coherence. Here is the truth most do not want to face. As long as you continue to wait to feel different after something changes, you are caught in the linear trap, the cause and effect loop. But in the quantum paradigm, it is the opposite. You must feel it before you see it. You must become the cause. Your embodiment is the signal that bends reality. Let us make this tangible. You want abundance. Stop trying to get it. Embody the version of you who already lives in excess. How do they walk, talk, breathe? What choices do they make? What do they no longer tolerate? You want deep love? Do not chase it. Embody the version of you who is already loved, already whole. What boundaries do they set? What energy do they effortlessly exude? You want to lead, to create, to expand? Then step into the timeline where you are already that creator. Not by pretending, but by recollecting. Because the field does not need proof. It needs consistency. This is not delusion. It is neurological programming. When you act as if for long enough, your brain starts to rewire. Your body starts to believe. Your energy starts to stabilize. The subconscious mind, which governs 95% of your behavior, begins to obey the new instruction. And then the field reflects that new frequency with astonishing precision. But here is the nuance. Embodiment is not performance. It is not pretense. It is the collapse of the gap between who you were and who you truly are. It is the surrender to the truth already encoded in your soul. This is why embodiment is so powerful. It bypasses the mind and activates the memory of your future, stored in your heart. They say when your brain and heart are in sync, your body becomes a magnet. In this state of coherence, you do not pursue outcomes. You attract them effortlessly. You do not force life. You flow with a field that recognizes you because you are finally broadcasting a clean, stable signal. But embodiment is uncomfortable at first. Why? Because the old self will resist. It will whisper doubt. It will tempt you back to the familiar. Not because it is evil, but because it is scared. Your nervous system is addicted to the known, even if the known is pain. This is why embodiment is not a one-time fix. It is a practice, a constant devotion. Every time you feel fear and choose faith, every time you notice a pattern and choose presence, every time you collapse into now instead of waiting for later, you make a quantum jump. You step into the timeline where your future is no longer an aspiration. It is an activation. And here is what they do not tell you. Your embodiment does not just change your life. It shifts the collective field. Every time you choose coherence, you make it easier for others. You radiate a signal into the morphogenetic field, a blueprint of possibility that others can tune into. Your embodiment becomes a portal. And this is the invitation of this moment. Not to continue waiting, wishing, doubting, but to start living now as if the reality you are striving for has already arrived. Because it has. It is waiting in the field, waiting for frequency matching, waiting for you. And in conclusion, we will take this to its logical end. If time is non-linear, if timelines are real and collapsible, if embodiment is your superpower, then what does that mean for how you live, create, and serve from this moment forward? The answer might surprise you. There comes a moment, subtle, powerful, irreversible, When a person stops living in time and starts living as frequency, it is the moment you no longer ask, "When will my future arrive?" but declare, "I am already living it." It is the moment linear time dissolves, and you awaken as a conscious participant in the multidimensional reality that has been waiting for you all along. That moment is now. You have seen the illusion for what it is. You have pulled back the curtain on the theater of time. The idea that past and future are separate, that change requires struggle, that you are bound by a timeline you did not choose. But the truth has been whispering all along. Time is not a road. It is a mirror. And when you change internally, reality must follow. You are no longer running towards your future. You are becoming the version of yourself who remembers how to collapse it into the now. And you are not alone. There is a global shift happening, not in governments or technology, but in consciousness itself. People all over the world are waking up from the trance of linear time and stepping into the field as creators, not victims. They are no longer asking for permission to change. They are observing new timelines, embodying new frequencies, and watching their realities transform from the inside out. This is not a fantasy, it is a movement. The movement of quantum beings, of people like you, who are recalling that their attention, their embodiment, and their emotions are the levers of creation, who realize that healing is not a process that goes through time. It is a shift in identification, that the future is not a goal to be reached, but a state to be tuned into, and that time is not the ruler of reality, it is its servant. Now, let us anchor this truth in your body. Take a deep breath, close your eyes, feel your feet on the floor, the gravity, the weight, the presence. Now ask yourself without hesitation, which version of me is already living the life I desire? Feel them. See their posture. Hear their thoughts. Sense their frequency. Now breathe them into your body. Not by force, but by surrender. Inhale their knowing. Exhale your resistance, over and over. With every breath, the space between you and them dissolves until the separation is gone. Because it never existed, only attention separated you from the frequency already encoded in your field. This is the essence of timeline shifting. Not time travel, not escape, but the integration of your future self into the present body. And when you rise from this moment, you will be different, subtly, yet completely. You have collapsed the idea of someday and stepped into the vibration of now. From this place, all choices change. You do not ask, "What should I do?" You ask, "What does this version of me already choose?" And when you align your actions with that answer, the field responds with astonishing accuracy. Because now you are not forcing reality. You are flowing with the higher harmony of yourself. And if you felt something stir within you during this journey, a remembrance, a clarity, a quiet surge of power, it is because your future self was guiding this whole process. They are not far from you. They are through you, whispering, nudging, waiting. And if you are ready to go deeper, to anchor this frequency, master the mechanics, and become the sovereign navigator of timelines, you can explore the next level of this journey. There is a powerful resource created for exactly this moment, a practical guide. It is not just theory, it is a living transmission, a hands-on map to help you shift your identity, expand your field, and collapse the reality you have long felt was possible. Seek out information about this. This is not casual reading. It is a commitment, a signal to the field that you are ready to live from the inside out. Because this movement is not about more information, it is about more coherence. And if you have come this far, it is because something inside you already knows. You are not a linear being. You are not chasing time. You are collapsing timelines through presence, through power, through precision. And the real shift begins the moment you stop asking when and start embodying who. This is your time, not to wait, but to remember. And we are with you in the field, now and beyond.